Good morning, it's Friday. Thanks to Grandpa for my outfit this morning. And thank you very much indeed for tuning into TV3 First in News, Best in Entertainment. As I always say, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And if you say a prayer, remember to say one for me. This morning, I've come to you with my bite titled, NADMO, Shine Your Eyes. NADMO, Shine Your Eyes. We had a global meeting sometime in 1994 because floods and disasters were becoming too rampant. And we had decided as a world, a globe, a committee of nations, to start our individual interventions to stop disasters. We came from that 1994 meeting in Yokohama and we decided that we're going to have our own national disaster management organization. Then we gave it a legal backing in this country to set up the National Disaster Management Organization. But so between 1996 and 2001, let's do an assessment of what NADMO has been. NADMO's first job, by their own dictates and by the law that sets them up, is to help prevent disaster. NADMO's first job as a disaster management organization is to help to prevent disaster. Now, if for any reason, whether by force majeure, whether by an act of God, whatever it is, the disaster happens, then they are supposed to manage it. Or if they sleep on the job and the disaster happens, they are supposed to manage it. So number one, how has NADMO been able to prevent disasters in this country? How has NADMO been able to do that? Number two, how well has NADMO been able to manage disasters in this country? And I tell you what, we are here because as a country we see every single problem as an NDC and NPP problem. Even problems and issues that are raised which are nationalistic in nature, some person somewhere is thinking that, oh, he's doing it in favor of NDC. Oh, he's speaking on behalf of NPP. And I've had that misfortune. Before the 2016 election, I was NPP. After the 2016 election, I am NDC. So whether I talk about a national issue that affects the lives of people per a state institution that is funded by our taxes, it is supposed to be towards the gain of a political party. How shameful. And that is why until tomorrow, we will continue to pack political appendages, political apparatchiks, political foot soldiers to a very, very sensitive institution like NADMO. First question on my mind again is, why should the leadership of a national disaster management organization change because a party won election? Why should it change? A very sensitive organization like the National Disaster Management Organization, why should the leadership change because NPP or NDC won an election? And then you'll find that we will suddenly start packing boys and girls there. As if that is not enough, even the leadership of NADMO, who do we put there to head NADMO? What is their professional capacity in the area of disaster management? Elsewhere, the countries that we want to emulate, the countries that we want to learn from, they don't joke with their disaster management organizations. They don't joke with them because that's a paramilitary organization sort of thing. They don't joke with it. In our country, we joke with it. You find NADMO people who can write their names. You find NADMO people in today's Ghana who do not even have ID cards, identity cards, common identity cards to say, I am from NADMO. They don't have it. They think that wearing reflectors with NADMO printed on them is enough. I can go and buy a green or orange reflector and print NADMO on them. Does the leadership of NADMO know that they are putting their people at risk by not giving them identity cards? Common things like identity cards. ID card, ID card. When you go to Circle, you can have it printed for you with all the security features. NADMO staff, do you have your ID cards? Then there is the sad aspect of NADMO staff. NADMO staff, National Disaster Management Organization. NADMO staff who have gone to do upgrades, have either gone to study for masters, MPhil, some have done their from diploma upgraded to degree and what's not, HND, and they are still where they are, more than 4 or 5 years on. I thought that we were told to improve ourselves, and that when you improve yourself, you get rewarded for it, because your expertise and your experience would have shot up. So what's happening at NADMO? Why is it that people have gone to upgrade themselves and they are still being kept at that lowest ebb? NADMO, shine your eye. NADMO, shine your eye, because when disaster strikes, your response time is suspect. It's a disaster. And what is happening at Ketu South, Keta, Anloga is just a tip of the iceberg of the kind of response we get from NADMO when disaster strikes. It is the kind of response we get from them. Play for me, Danny, the video of Mr. George. You see, my very good friend, who is the director of communications, who got into that position when the MPP won power in 2017, explaining to me, because I've been worried. I asked a simple question about how much relief had been given to the people of Ketu South, Keta, and Anloga after disaster struck them Saturday into Sunday. We took 48 hours before we went to give them relief items. We had said that, we had gone there as NADMO to do an assessment to understand the magnitude of the problem. We got a call. Then when it was time for us to take relief items to them, we couldn't even say how much we were giving to the people. And I'll share with you a very, very sad revelation. Now, they play the video for me.
Be able to recite them like a poem.
George, you know that there are two things on my mind. It's either what you sent there was not enough, or that what you sent there is not worthy of mentioning.
Or maybe nothing has gone. How do we know?
I don't know. I won't add the third option. I'm saying.
No, how do we know? Have you seen any
visuals? You see, I cannot conjecture and give you figures.
That's why Dr. Park spoke for about 10 minutes.
I engaged the team that before.
And what did they say? I see you have a list there.
Yes, no, these ones are the figures for the affected households and individuals and co. And I just got a summary of items sent. No figures attached yet. But I'll get the figures
I trust. I need a bit of understanding. You answered some. I'll give you. Yeah. I need a bit of understanding. So your guys on the ground told Komla Kluche that they had come there empty-handed to run an assessment to understand what was happening to the people, to know what help to bring to them. That's what they said.
Yeah.
On Monday, after the thing had happened, Saturday, dattling into Sunday and on Monday. Now we are here on Wednesday morning when relief items were supposed to have gone to them on Tuesday.
Yeah, it went yesterday.
And we don't have details.
Figures.
That's quite worrying.
I'll get the
because
figures.
When you are packing, because if you are packing food, if you are packing food into
Johnnie,
a truck
you
from a
see, I got the brief here.
Okay.
My deputy director general.
I want to place my question. When you are packing,
definitely
by your own
the warehouse officer will have all the figures.
Exactly.
Yes, that's why I said.
Can we get somebody to give us the warehouse figures?
I spoke to the team that led. The people that led the team to the place, and they gave me this. But I'll get the warehouse officer and get you the figures later.
I hear you.
Permit me.
I hear you.
To do that.
Respond to some of the
be honest with you, my officers on the ground were right. When an incident of this nature,
be able to recite them like a poem.
George, you know that there are two things on my mind. That's my good friend George. You see, he's the National Director of Communications of the National Disaster Management Organization. I think that answer was a disaster in itself. It was a big disaster because, by their own operating procedures, you cannot pack food from that location, one location, without the officer in charge of the warehouse knowing what details they are. Do you think that if NADMO had sent 2,000 bags of rice, blah, 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 all those very shiny things, they wouldn't have come to enumerate them and tell us there's a problem somewhere? And I'll demonstrate to you in a very little while. But tell you what, there's a reason Mr. George AEC and all the top dogs at NADMO have been tight-lipped about the quantum that they have given to the people. I share with you. This is NADMO admitting in 2018, 26 September 2018, this is Peace FM Online, NADMO admitting error in expired food items from Dr. Baumia to Wa flood victims. You know the Bagri Dam. The Bagri Dam is spilled every now and then from Burkina Faso. When it is spilled, there are victims of that Bagri Dam. Now, on this occasion, some people had died. Vice President Baumia found it necessary to go there for whatever reason to commiserate with the people. He has not gone to the Volta region. President Akufo-Addo has not gone to the Volta region. The Minister for Works and Housing has not gone to the Volta region. The Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection has not gone to the Volta region. The Minister for Interior has not gone to the Volta region. But in 2018, they went to Bagri Dam. Why? They went to Wa. Now, it says, according to NADMO, the expired cooking oil had been isolated at the warehouse in Wa, awaiting authentication by the internal auditor before they could be disposed of. However, when loading, boys were picking the items for distribution to the flood victims. They erroneously picked 6 expired cooking oil and added them to the items. Tonight, we are moving fast to Wa. That's George speaking. We are moving fast to Wa to see the situation on the ground, and so tomorrow definitely we are going there. George, you see, Director of Communication at what do you call it, at NADMO. Now that's what George said. Let me come back to the studio. That's what George said. They gave expired products to our Vice President to deliver to people who were in distress. Do you remember that during the lockdown in this country, sometime in March towards April, 3 weeks lockdown? It was not for the whole year. It was not for the whole country. Get that straight. It was for Accra, Tema, Kaswa, and what we call Greater Kumasi. Greater Accra, Kaswa, Tema, and Greater Kumasi. It was not for the whole country. We'll come to the maths of that very, very soon, sometime soon. But do you know that when we locked down, even when there was no disaster, it was a pandemic, we prepared hot meals and gave to people. That's what we said. We paid over 50 million to prepare hot meals to give to the people. George Easy told us that we have spent 5 cities on every park. You remember that? And we were even asking questions why people were being given 1 meal a day when we know that we have been told by the Ghana Health Service to eat 3 square meals, breakfast, lunch, supper. We prepared hot meals and distributed it to people. Now in Ketu South, in Anloga, in Keta, the people have told you, Danny showed that video yesterday from Roland, the people have told you that their kitchen has been washed away. The people have told you that their homes have been washed away. The people are sleeping on the streets, perching in churches and schools and mosques and other places. And when you have to give them relief items, the first thing you think about is dry gari, dry rice, dry oil. Where would they prepare them? In your kitchen in Accra? Because the Minister for Works and Housing was sitting in an air-conditioned office and holding a press conference and addressing the issues there. Do you think that if it were an election year in 2020, the Minister for Works and Housing would have sat in a cozy office in Accra and addressed the people in Ketu South, in Keta, or in Anloga? Would he have done that? Do you think that would have happened? Now, this whole attitude of NADMO, and I'm saying that it's not supposed to be for party boys and girls. It's supposed to be a very, very serious national institution. You distribute raw rice. My kitchen has been washed away. I don't have where to sleep. I don't have the peace of mind. You give me raw rice, gari, tins of sardine. Why am I going to prepare them? Doesn't NADMO think about these things? And NADMO is under the Interior Ministry, by the way. Doesn't NADMO think about these things? As we speak right now, NADMO has become a champion of distributing such items. So this is what they have distributed. 11 November 2021, a story by Jemima Chivos. Now, the items they have distributed. This part of the items they have distributed. I tell you what, it says some relief items have been delivered to some displaced residents in 3 coastal districts affected by tidal waves in the Volta region. The items procured by the National Disaster Management Organization were handed over to the Keta and Ketu South Municipal Chief Executives and the Anloga District Chief Executives for onward distribution to the affected residents. So whatever was taken there was for 3 districts. Listen to the details of the item. The items included 100 bags of rice, 100 pieces of mattress, 300 plastic buckets, 300 washing bowls, 300 pieces each of cups and eating bowls, and 100 cartons of soap. The rest are 100 cartons of cooking oil, 100 cartons of each mosquito net, repellents, and mosquito nets. Now, this is what it says. Officials of NADMO had indicated that although the relief items were inadequate admission for the affected 4,000 people, it was the first tranche delivery. This was taken there. Now, let me show you a little detail. The member of parliament for the area, for Ketu South, the Honorable Abla Jifagomashi, yesterday while we were having that conversation, sent me this. She says, good morning. Relief items sent to her constituency. Mind you, whatever was there was supposed to be for 4,000 people. In her place, you had about 1,000 people who had been affected. Bale, 6 bale of clothing, right? That's what they had. 30 mattresses. So whether you like or not, Bella and I will share a bed, even if we don't know each other, we have no relations, whatever it is. 30 mattresses for 1,000 people. 30 bags of rice. Basins, 100. Bucket, 100. Cups, 100. Soap, 15 cartons. Oil, 15. Cooking oil, coil, 33 boxes. Nets, 25. You are giving 30 mattresses, and you are giving 25 nets. So there are 5. What would they do? There are 5. The other 5 that is left. Let's say you have even provided for 30 people. The other 5 that is left, NADMO, what would they do? Shine your eye. Blankets, 30. So this is what you sent for over 1,000 people. Now, look at something that's very interesting. I went onto the NADMO page, their Facebook page on social media. Now, the NADMO boss presently is at the climate change conference. And we glorify big speeches. All the big speeches, we know how to do them. Now, this was on the 9th of November, 10:57 p.m. on the Facebook page of the National Disaster Management Organization, which I think, in my opinion, is a disaster in itself. He wrote from Scotland. Now, it says that statement by Honorable Eric Nana Ejiman Prempeh, Director General of NADMO. I hear he wants to be first vice chairman of the NPP, by the way. It says, my fellow partners, in the fight against climate change, ladies and gentlemen, our friends from media or protocol, blah, 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 plenty. Well, NADMO even spells duly as D-U-E-L-Y. But that's a conversation for another day. Now, it says predominantly droughts, which is happening here, floods and bushfires, which are all happening in this country, have been on the rise in the past 2 decades. NADMO, as a coordinating agency, works tirelessly with all other relevant institutions, both government and non-government institutions, to mitigate, adapt, and build resilience for communities against these hazards. Where have we mitigated them? Where have we adapted? And where have we, what's the other word? Where are we building resilience? Are we doing that in Keta, Ketu South, or Anloga? Are we doing that? People are winning sand. And you see, NADMO has become too political that even when NADMO is under-resourced, they cannot say it. They cannot say it because they are scared that it will make the government in power look bad. Right under this post that he put there, the first person, check who kills for the dice. I don't have time right now, but go and check who kills for the dice. Just go into their album, their pictures on Facebook, their gallery, and check who they are. So he's singing praises. You have really made NADMO Ghana proud, blah, 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 blah. The second one, Gerald Alonya, he says, NADMO promised to fix my school after a rainstorm disaster 3 years ago. No show. Nothing to show. Then you find AJ Richard, find out who he is. Then you find Zach Brew Zinchi, find out who he is as well. So I told you earlier that there are too many sycophants around our government. They don't help them to deliver excellently on the public good. This morning, I'm asking NADMO to shine their eyes, because it is not proper that as NADMO you don't have ID cards for your staff. That's a disaster. It doesn't make any sense at all that my kitchen has been washed away, my home has been washed away, and the first thing that comes into your mind is to bring me raw rice and raw and oil and raw gari. Why am I going to cook them? Wouldn't it have been better if you gave me warm meals? You are sending relief items. For 1,000 people, you are giving us 30 mattresses and 25 bed nets. So what happens to the remainder? What happens to the rest? These are questions that might engage the minds of NADMO. At this point, with all the disturbance in the minds of the people in Ketu North, Keta and Anloga, I expect that NADMO would have sent clinical psychologists there to get into their minds and to counsel them properly. But no. So somebody who is perching in a church, today is Friday, the church decides that we want to have an all-night service, the person has no place to sleep. Or by default, they will have to join the church even if they don't believe in whatever is happening. We have no evacuation centers. We have no intentions of constructing any. And we say we are a national disaster management organization. We are building resilience and blah, blah, blah. We go to the world and lie to them, write big speeches and tell lies to them. So when they are assessing us, they assess us based on the scripts we have given to them. They tick the boxes and say, oh, we are doing this. We are not doing FOCO. We are not doing FOCO. And it must not be synonymous with NADMO. That when disaster strikes, all you bring is oil, cap, rice, mattress, nets, chaliwote, buckets, and then that's it. Let's go beyond that. NADMO, shine your eye. Good morning.